pinnacle of luxury and reliability. And for a starting price of just about $75,000, we have the Lexus RX 500h. And at almost the exact same price, known for being a sporty SUV in the segment, we have the BMW X5 40i with that glorified B58 engine. Both cars are around $70,000 USD. You either get the top of the line RX 500h engine, or you get the entry-level 40i engine on the X5, both of which are very similar in a lot of ways. With over 25 years of history and fierce competition, both SUVs are a lot more similar than you think, aside from the design. They both converge in the very best ways, but they're also a little different. In this hot battle of luxury SUV, let's figure out which one reigns supremacy and which one you should buy. Ever since the debut of the RX in 1998, the RX has been a cornerstone of the Lexus brand, being the most popular Lexus to date. It's been known for being luxurious, comfortable, reliable, but kind of bland and dull to drive. In fact, growing up, we had the first generation RX in our family. It was the first car I learned how to drive. It had over 200,000 miles on it with nothing but basic maintenance. But was it exactly fun to drive? No, but that's where the X5 comes in. It was debuted in 1999, which is 1 year after the RX, and it's been an icon of sporty SUV. It's also a luxurious SUV that's also just as comfortable, but the difference though is that it was fun to drive. But in terms of reliability, it didn't really have the best track record. You essentially had to pick reliability and comfort of the RX or the athletic performance of the X5. However, that has all changed. Ever since the 500h was introduced, it picked up a lot of sporty characteristics from its German counterparts and might actually be fun and sporty now, especially with this very well engineered turbocharged 4-cylinder hybrid. Meanwhile, BMW's reliability report has been better than ever since the introduction of this turbocharged inline 6 B58 engine, which is so reliable even Toyota uses it in their own cars. So in 2025, this is a completely different ballpark now. All right, in the X5, you get a 3-liter inline-6 turbocharged engine that makes 375 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque, and it's also a mild hybrid, which means there's a small 48-volt battery that just helps you save a little bit of gas, although it's not a full hybrid. It's also all paired to a ZF 8-speed automatic transmission, and it is very snappy. Let's go in first gear here. Oh my god, the shifts sound great too. It is a lot sportier than you think, even for the base model engine. And this thing also sounds amazing. Of course, it's available in rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, although in Canada here, you can only get it as an all-wheel drive model, of course. You also get 25 miles per gallon combined fuel economy, which is very impressive for a vehicle this big with this much power. It's 23 miles per gallon in the city and 27 miles per gallon on the highway. This vehicle is also rated from 0 to 60 in 5.3 seconds. Let's do a brake boost launch. Oh, okay. This thing throws you right back in your seat. And that's 100 kilometers per hour, 62 miles per hour. That is very fast. I feel like it does that a little bit faster than the time suggests. And it just feels like a sedan almost, like in terms of speed. And in terms of towing, this definitely wins hands down because it can tow 70 to 100 pounds. And this vehicle weighs about 5,000 pounds. This thing is ridiculously fast for this weight. BMW has always been a master of inline sixes, and this is no exception. It has a very linear power band. Even in fifth gear, just a little bit on the throttle, it picks up the speed very nicely. Let's put it back into normal drive mode. Of course, you can get your drive mode select here. You get Sport, Comfort, and Eco Pro. In Comfort, it softens up the steering wheel and suspension, and it just feels really nice. We are on quite a bit of a bumpy road, and it's very comfy in here. I think it's pretty much on par with Lexus. They're both very good, and then they're very quiet. Except this, you can hear that engine, it sounds great. It's such a good motor. It's so linear with power. There's pretty much no turbo lag at all. And paired with this transmission, there's also really no downshift lag. Although this isn't really an M car, this thing is still very good. And you can feel that rear bias all-wheel drive just help you rotate around the corner. It's a lot more centered in terms of like chassis tuning, and it feels more balanced as a vehicle. Steering is very quick, very precise, and it just feels good. Very impressive handling, very impressive power from the BMW X5. You do also get your driver assistance Pro, which is optional on this vehicle. It is slightly better than the Lexus system. And let's just put it into comfort mode again. Let's turn on driver assistance. Very good at staying in the lane, very good at following the cars, and you get Assistance Plus, which works up to like 90 or 100 miles per hour, I think. And that means you don't have to touch the steering wheel at all on the freeway. The adaptive cruise control feels a little bit more natural, whereas the Lexus is a little bit less aggressive, and it stays on the safer side. It's slower, it's always more distance. It's also hesitant on the auto lane change, whereas the BMW auto lane change works flawlessly. It's quicker and it works all the time. The Lexus one is really good, but it just doesn't feel as natural as the BMW, although I will say that Lexus Safety Systems 3.0 Plus is standard on the RX, which I think that's a win for the RX anyways. And at pretty much the same price point, you get the top of the line Lexus RX engine, the 500h model. It's a fully hybrid, turbocharged 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine, and the engine is mounted transversely, which means it's built on a front-wheel drive platform rather than the BMW's rear-wheel drive architecture, although you can only get this 500h in the all-wheel drive configuration. You get 2 electric motors in here, one in the front and one in the rear, and there's no actual physical linkage between the front and the rear. There's no drive shaft at all, so the only thing powering those rear wheels is that one electric motor. So you do save quite a bit of weight with no drive shaft. It's about 250 pounds lighter than the BMW X5. The total power output is 366 horsepower and 406 pound-feet of torque. So you get about 9 less horsepower, but you do get a little bit of extra torque. But let's see how they do in this corner. Oh my God. Surprisingly, a very linear power band from such a small engine, but that's because of the electric motors that really help you out. Coming around this bend here real quick. Okay, this is really good. It's also rated from 0 to 60 in 5.9 seconds, not too far off from the BMW. Let's put that to the test. Okay, a little bit of slippage in the front wheels, and that is 100 kilometers per hour. Pretty impressive for an RX. I think it's a little bit slower than the BMW, but not very far off. They are so similar. I feel like you really only notice if you're driving the cars back to back. That B58, the power is a little underrated because BMW, of course, really loves to downplay their numbers. From 40 miles per hour, let's just step on it. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. This thing is quite fast. More than enough power for pretty much everyone that drives a family SUV. And I love the power delivery in this car too. I thought the inline 6 in the BMW would deliver power a little bit better because it's a bigger motor, but the electric motors in here really assist with delivering that torque right away. So in terms of the power band, they're both very, very similar. In terms of towing though, this thing only tows 3,500 pounds, about half of what the X5 does. So if you're towing anything heavy, I think it's a no-brainer there. Fuel economy is a little bit better though in the RX because you do get 27 miles per gallon combined here, with 27 miles per gallon in the city and 28 miles per gallon on the highway. So the highway mileage is very similar, but the city mileage is where this thing does quite a bit better because it's a full-on hybrid, not like the mild hybrid of the BMW. So I can pretty much drive on all EV mode, and hybrids, hands down, Toyota, Lexus, they've been great at it. Very smooth. You pretty much don't notice the system kicking in ever unless you're really paying attention. It's also a really quiet ride in here. Very comfy. We're on the same set of bumpy road that we were on with the X5. You do get adaptive suspension here, so let's throw it into normal because we're in sport right now. Steering lightens up a little bit. The adaptive suspension is great. I think the ride is a little bit quieter here. You do get double pane glass here, which the BMW doesn't get. So it is a tad bit quieter. In terms of refinement, I feel like they're identical. They're both just very, very comfy. It just makes great day-to-day cars. And when you want to have a little bit of fun, throw it back into sport mode. Everything stiffens up a little bit. Steering is still very sharp. I feel like it's the same as a BMW. Like, they both have pretty light steering racks, but there's a good amount of feel, and they're both very quick and precise. I don't even know which one is better, but what I will say is that the all-wheel drive system on the BMW is a little bit more rear-wheel drive bias, whereas this is more front-wheel drive bias. So coming into a corner is fine, but when you're exiting the corner, it's a little bit icy, but there is a little bit more understeer just coming out the corner in this car, whereas the BMW will rotate from the center, which just feels a little bit better. Nice little turn here. Brakes are good. A little bit of understeer powering out again, but really good power delivery. It gets up to speed real nice. I also think there's a little bit of artificial noise. Yep, active sound control. You can turn it off. Yeah, it doesn't sound great when you turn it off. I do kind of like the pumped in audio in here. Sounds pretty cool. Just not BMW inline 6 cool. 6-speed auto in here is fast on its own. Using the paddles, it's not as responsive as the ZF in the BMW, but when you leave it in auto, you don't notice anything. It just feels fine. It's a lot better than a typical CVT. The transmission's great on its own, very smooth. I feel like the downshifts in this car are a little bit more seamless than that in the BMW. I think Lexus has improved drastically over the years with their F Sport models. It used to just be like an appearance package, and it didn't really do all that much in terms of handling, but I think this is a huge step up with this generation of the RX. It's actually pretty sporty. It's almost BMW good, but it's not quite there. But it's surprising how far they've come, because for most buyers, this is more than enough power. This is more than enough performance for pretty much anyone. And that's why most people end up buying the RX 350 anyways, which is about $15,000 cheaper, significantly less than the base model X5. There's also rear wheel steering in this car. So the turning radius is quite a bit better. It has a 36 feet turning radius, whereas the X5 has a 41 feet turning radius. So it's a little bit easier to maneuver this in a tight parking lot. Again, Lexus Safety Systems 3.0 is standard with every Lexus RX now, and it's something that you'd have to pay for in the X5. I think where this is better as a vehicle is city driving around town. It's a little bit smaller, it's a little bit easier to maneuver, better turning radius, better fuel mileage in the city, more standard features. But where the X5 shines is like on a longer road trip or for spirited driving, because highway mileage is basically the same. You get a little bit more space if you're going on a road trip again, and it just has a slight edge in terms of driving experience. Although I'm not gonna lie, this RX is so close. It is really good. I am genuinely impressed with how well this vehicle handles. In terms of design, I think the RX has a more sporty appearance. This is also equipped with that black line package, so it does get blacked out exterior contents and these orange brake calipers. I think it works perfectly, especially in this paint color. And these 21-inch black wheels are just gorgeous. This model is equipped with a triple beam headlights. I think they are very sharp. The rear angle is probably my favorite angle, with a single LED taillight that runs across. It's kind of like a blade. The rear end is very attractive, and I love the tucked-in wiper blade up top. It's an RX thing, whereas the BMW X5, it's exposed, so it just makes the back of the car look very clean and modern. You do get 30 cubic feet of space in the trunk, and these seats do power fold down and up, which is an option in America, but is also standard in this package in Canada. You get 47 cubic feet of space with the second row down, which is not bad, but I'll show you what the X5 is like in a bit. You also get a 120 volt outlet back here, and you do get a spare tire underneath, which is nice to see in 2025. The BMW X5 is definitely a more conservative, traditional SUV in terms of appearance. It's pretty much what you expect from an SUV. This model is not equipped with the BMW M Sport package, so you don't get the black trimming, you get a lot of aluminum colored trims. The X5 is also about 2 inches longer, and the wheelbase is 5-inch longer, which allows the wheels to be pushed out a little bit, so there's more interior space in the X5. The X5 does come with 21-inch wheels, but we are rocking these Audi winter wheels right now that came off an SQ5. So they do look a little bit small on the BMW, it kind of looks funny, but don't mind that for now. The OEM wheels are a lot nicer, and they're also 21 inches. As standard, they come with 275 tires in the front and 315 tires in the rear, which are significantly wider and fatter than the RX 235 tires. So that does mean you get a little bit more grip. The rear design is more conventional. I love the taillights, and if you do want the more sporty appearance, you can also get the BMW X6, which has that slope back design. However, I do like the X5's more traditional design. It also gives you a little bit more trunk space. And of course, in the trunk, I love the BMW's split tailgate on the X5. It allows you to drag something out very easily without damaging your bumper, or you can sit on it, and it's just useful. I don't know why all SUVs don't do this. You also get 34 cubic feet of space behind the second row, which is about 10% bigger than the RX, but you get 72 cubic feet of space with the second row folded, which is significantly larger than the 47 cubic feet in the RX. However, there is no handle anywhere in the back of the X5 to fold down the seats. It's also not powered, of course, so you will have to walk around to fold the seats down, but you get more space with the second row folded. Inside the RX, it is very nice and premium in here. It's what you'd expect from a Lexus. Very tight finishes, no squeaks or rattles really anywhere, and it just feels expensive, and I like it a lot. There's a lot of suede here. There's faux leather. It's pretty nice. It's ventilated and heated. There's pretty good bolstering because we are in the F Sport model as well. And you do get your heated steering wheel, and it heats up the whole wheel, which I do appreciate. You get a 14-inch display in the middle here. It is really easy to use. You have your hard climate knobs here, and the rest of the buttons are fixed to the bottom portion of the screen. So it's pretty easy to use. And then using the Toyota UI, it's very simple and easy to learn. So you can just get in and figure it out pretty easily. And there is Apple CarPlay in here, and it's wireless, of course. And you have your drive modes. There's no buttons for it anywhere here. So you do have to go in the menu, and then you can change it between normal, sport, and eco, and custom here. Hopping into the middle, you do get your digital dashboard here. It is pretty nice and clear. The graphics are nice. There is a little bit of lag sometimes when you're switching between the menus, but that's all right. You do get your heads-up display up there. It displays your adaptive cruise control information and your speed, so that's handy. There is a fix for the drive mode buttons not existing though, because you can set up your shortcuts here with the steering wheel buttons, and then you can control it through your heads-up display or here as well. So I leave sport and eco mode on these two buttons here. I don't have to take my hands off the wheel to change the drive modes, which is nice. You do get your 14-way power adjustable seats, and there's a 3 memory seating control here, which the BMW only has 2. You do have ambient lighting in here as well. It's pretty nice at nighttime, but the X5 ambient lighting is a lot more intricate. It's a lot nicer than this one because there's just a lot more lights everywhere. But in this, you get a custom color mode, so you can make it any color you want, which you can't in the BMW. You get your wireless charging here, of course. You get 3 USB-C ports and a USB-A port here, so plenty of charging places, and you have a fairly sized center console here. The key for the Lexus is pretty much what you'd expect from Lexus. This is the key for the BMW, so those are the keys. I like the BMW key better. It looks nicer, but the Lexus key is a little bit heavier. It has some heft to it, so I like how the Lexus key feels more. You do get your typical Lexus Toyota shifter here and push to park. You also get your panoramic sunroof, and that's nice. You get a 360 camera with a bunch of different views that you can choose from. It's nice and clear, nothing really wrong with it. The BMW one is a little bit more advanced because you can control more things, but they both work the same. In the BMW, you get Harman Kardon's. In the Lexus, you get Mark Levinson speakers. I think these are more powerful speakers. They have better bass, but the clarity of the X5 speakers are a little bit better than this. I also love these electronic door handles, so you just press to open. And what I do like is when you're sitting in a parking lot and someone sketchy walks by and you want to lock the car. In a typical car, they can hear the lock sound from the outside, but because this is all digital, there's no noise when you lock or unlock it. Checking out the rear seats of the RX, quite a bit of space back here. I am sitting right behind myself at 5'8", so there's plenty of room for me, lots of leg room. It's actually the same exact leg room as X5. You get 37.5 inches back here. Headroom is all right. I feel like the X5 has a little bit more headroom than this. You do get a huge panoramic sunroof. You get your 3-zone climate control back here, heated seats and ventilated seats. You can't even get ventilated seats as an option in the X5. Of course, you get your USB-C ports back here. The materials in the back and the front are the same, so that's nice. You don't get privacy shades in the back of the F Sport model, but you can get it in the luxury trim. And what you do get in this RX are these power reclinable seats. So even if you're a little bit taller, there's a lot of space for you if you recline. In the front of the X5, it is a little bit more premium in here than the RX. It is very nice. The seats are like a diamond quilted look, and they are heated and ventilated as well, but ventilation is an option, so it's not standard like in the Lexus. And you do get your heated steering wheel, and what's nice about the X5 is that these armrests in the middle and on the side are also heated as well. You do also get your heated and cooled cup holder that is optional as well, and you do get your wireless charger in there, of course. These seats are also 20-way power adjustable. These headrests also adjust. There's a little bit more customization than in the Lexus. And the seating position in here is also a little bit different. You have better visibility, but what you do lose is that digital mirror, of course, so I feel like it works itself out. I do actually like the seating position in the Lexus better because you can sit a bit more lower. It feels more sporty than this more upright position of the X5. Both cars have a power steering wheel, so that's nice. And then in the middle here, you get a 14.9-inch display, almost about an inch bigger than in the Lexus. It is a little bit more complicated to use, but once you actually learn how to use the system, there's a lot more settings and options that you can go through. You can actually even play games in here. Of course, you do get your wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The graphics in here are a little bit nicer. It's a little bit more modern, especially when you look at the graphics in the dashboard. It's a lot nicer, I think, but you actually get a little less customization than you do in the Lexus for the dashboard. Your heads-up display also displays everything the Lexus does, except you can see more information in the BMW, especially your navigation information and your sport graphics and stuff in there. And then you do also get your 360 camera in here as well. Very clear, very nice. You also get your backup assistance, and both cars do have an automatic parking feature. And again, the ambient lighting in the X5 is a little nicer. You do get this X5 text, and it's colored, and then in the panoramic sunroof, you do get lights in there as well. So that's really cool. You do get a little bit of wood here, and you can, of course, choose the wood option and the seat color. There are a lot more colors that you can choose from in the BMW, whereas the Lexus, you can only get black in the F Sport model. This vehicle is also equipped with a 2-axis suspension, so you can lower and raise the car as well. It is an optional feature, but it can be spec'd with that if you do want it. Your drive shifter is a typical new BMW chicken nugget shifter, where you just flick it. I don't mind it at all, and of course you can control the screen with this dial as well, which I do really like. I end up using it more than the touch screen when I'm driving anyways. The speakers, of course, the Harman Kardons. They're great speakers, not as powerful as the Lexus, but I think they sound a little bit better at the end of the day. One USB-A port here, and then in here you do get your 2 USB-C ports. The tech in the BMW and the connected app for this car is just a little bit more modern. It's a little bit faster, and there's a lot more things that you can do. From the digital key to the UI, it's quicker, it's more usable. So tech in the X5 is for sure a win, but you are paying more for individual features, whereas again, the Lexus comes with more standard features. Hopping in the back of the X5, you do get the same amount of legroom back here, 37.5 inches. What you do get is quad zone climate control, unlike the 3-zone in the Lexus, but you do miss out on the ventilated seats. You do also get your 2 USB-C ports down there as well. Legroom's the same, but headroom in here is a little bit better. I feel like you get an extra inch or 2 of headroom in here, and you do get your privacy shades back here in this trim as well. Very nice in both cars. I think I would rather the RX rear seats because they can recline, and this can't recline at all. Alright, spec for spec, this BMW X5 is about $5,000 more than the RX 500 we're testing, although you can get the much cheaper RX 350, but the 500h is the closest competition to this base model 40i. But on the X5, you can also get the plug-in hybrid version, or the twin turbocharged V8, or even the X5M, the M competition. These are much more expensive cars, but it just shows you their dedication to performance vehicles. Both these cars, however, are about $75,000 for the Lexus and $80K for the BMW, or $95K in Canada for the Lexus and $102K Canadian for the BMW. It's a lot harder to choose between these two SUVs than I thought, because they both come so very close in every category. The difference in performance isn't really night and day anymore, but if you did want a little bit of extra space and a slightly better driving experience, and or if you're a car enthusiast, the X5 is probably the way to go, as it still remains to be the benchmark in performance and luxury. The RX does come really close, but for the average buyer, the lower starting price, the better fuel mileage, and more standard features on the RX might make the RX the more attractive option. I think the design of the RX is a little bit sportier and it appeals to a lot of younger buyers now, while the X5 has a more conservative look, and I think that will typically age a little bit better. Even though the RX does have a reputation for rock-solid reliability, the X5 does come really close. So it's really about what matters most to you and what's important to you. So there's really just no wrong choice here. Having lived with both cars throughout the week and even filming this video up until now, I really don't know what to pick. For me, I think if I owned either cars, I'd pick the RX because of its proven reliability. But if I were to lease, I'd pick the X5. I think for me as a car enthusiast and a nerd, I like the extra bit of tech and the extra bit of driving performance. However, both are excellent choices. In fact, in the luxury SUV segment, I think they are the best two choices. So you really can't go wrong with either. That's all, guys. Thanks for watching.